J. Brooks Jewelers is passionate about your life's celebrations. This time of year, we like to celebrate the women in our lives. Jewelry has the power to represent someone we love or a memory that we cherish. At J. Brooks, we are committed to finding you those pieces that you will treasure for generations to come.
Hey you guys, welcome to the I Am Mom Summit. I am so excited to be here with you. My name is Brooke Romney, and though I wish I could see your faces and we could interact and ask questions with each other, I think this way of delivering to so many people in so many different places at different circumstances in life is such a blessing. I am a writer, and I write on my blog at brookeromney.com, and then I also write a lot on my Instagram at Brooke Romney Writes. And I have 4 boys, ages 16, 14, 12, and 7, and they give me a lot of material to write about. So I write a lot about mothering, but I also love writing about motherhood and womanhood, and what I'm talking about today, which is making friends. And the title of my session is Making Mom Friends, Forging Real Connection in a Digital World, and I think it is so important. A long time ago, women used to gather and we used to do our laundry together and cook together and have these awesome times to just connect with one another. And we do not get to do that anymore. And I am grateful for a dishwasher and a dryer and all those things. But I do think we miss those opportunities to really just connect and share love and share heartache and great things. And so especially as life has gotten more digital, we have to really work hard to make those real life connections. And so that's what I'm talking about today. I'm doing it because when I was a brand new mom, I was living far away from my family, and I was unprepared for how lonely it felt and how much I needed other women in my life. And because of that, because we lived away a lot, and I had to learn how, I was able to teach myself how to be outgoing and how to make friends and how to bring people into my life. That's why this one experience was really strange. So a few months ago, I was invited to this lovely party, and I was excited to be there. I was excited to see some people I knew and maybe see some people that I didn't know and make new friends. And when I got there late and I was all by myself, but I thought I would just be fine. And so I got there and I walked in and I only knew 3 people. And one was the host. And so I talked to them for a little bit, but I didn't want to monopolize their time. And so I decided to go and figure out how to make new friends. And so there was an open chair at one table. Everything else was full. And so I sat down there and I kind of knew people. And so we started chatting a little bit and they were great. And then all of a sudden everyone had to get up and go pick up their kids from school. And I was left all by myself. And so I looked around to see if there was any more open seats, and there weren't. And I sat there all by myself. And honestly, it felt like an hour, and it was probably like 3 or 4 minutes. And I had even left my phone in the car so that I could be really present. And I sat there all alone, and no one saw me and no one came over, and I was devastated. Honestly, it felt like I was 13 again. And I couldn't stand it any longer, and so I got in my car and I left and I drove away. But it got me really thinking. It got me thinking about how many women there are and how many moms there are that probably are feeling like that all of the time, and how that's not the way that it has to be. We can be better. We can be better at reaching out. We can be better at showing love. We can be better at opening our circles. And I wanted to talk about how, just like some practical ways that we can do that. And so I'm going to start off with like the group that maybe is the most hesitant. And those are the people who are introverts, who are shy, who say, Brooke, I just cannot do that. Like, that is so uncomfortable for me. And so I'm going to give you some ideas. I'm going to give some ideas for all different ways that we can forge some really important real life connections and make our life feel a little happier, a little fuller, and a little better for all of us. So if you are shy and you say, Brooke, I am just not outgoing, it's so awkward for me, but I would like some more friends, or I would like to try to be a friend to someone who might need me. I have a couple suggestions for you. So the first one is as easy as it gets, and it's to send a text. When I was new in one of my neighborhoods, I was working really hard to make friends. I was doing lots of things and trying to forge some connections. And there was this one girl who I just felt like probably didn't like me. She just was not, it just didn't feel like she was having it. She'd show up to everything, but it was just really hard for us to make a connection. And one day I picked up my phone, I'd received a text, and it was from her. And she said, "Hey, I just wanted to let you know how much fun it is that since you've moved in. I really appreciate all of the things that you've made happen, and I love spending time with you, and I'm really grateful you're here." And I was shocked. I was completely shocked because I didn't even think she liked me, but she did. And that was she was just shy. She was just more reserved and she was shy. And so that was her way of reaching out and letting me know that she wanted to be friends. And the cool thing about that was that our friendship blossomed and grew because she took that little step out of her comfort zone to text me. Another thing that I would suggest for people who are introverts is to look for someone who might be on the fringes or who is on the side. Look for the other person who might not always feel comfortable at everything or who might be a little harder to get to know, and see if maybe you can be that person who opens them up and who is their friend. Another great way you can do things is to celebrate people's birthdays. And I have a friend who creates these really cute birthday bags. They're inexpensive. She grabs like either hand sanitizer or lotion when it's on sale and a little treat like a pack of gum or a little candy bar, and she puts it in a bag with her favorite quote and ties it up. And she delivers it to people on their birthday. And she doesn't do it for everyone, but she does it for someone who maybe needs a little pick-me-up, or someone she wants to be friends with, or someone that she just wants to like share their birthday with them. And it's just a really simple way to let someone know that you're thinking about them and you care. And sometimes it's enough to just open the gates of friendship. Another thing that you can do is to practice. And I know this sounds kind of weird, but if you're really shy and having that conversation is really nervous and you've been in a million of them where it gets really awkward because you don't have anything left to say, I would say practice. And I'm gonna put some questions up on my blog of simple questions that can get conversation going, because I know it's not always natural for everyone. But if you can have a couple good questions in your back pocket and then learn to reciprocate when somebody asks you like, "Hey, how's your kid doing in school? Does he like this teacher?" You know, you can reciprocate with, "Yeah, he does. What about your son? Does he like his teacher?" You know, things like that. Just little tricks that can sometimes make conversation a little easier for shy or introverted people who really would like to make some more friends. Now, if you're not shy and you're not introverted, but you feel a little overwhelmed by life, you don't feel like you could do the big things, but you want to be better at including people and bringing people in, and maybe you feel like you could use a few extra friends in your life, there are some other things that you can do that are maybe one step up. And those suggestions are to plan a meetup. Now, this is like one of my easiest, best suggestions. If you are going to take your kids somewhere, to the park, to a museum, to Chick-fil-A, you say, "Hey," you know, you open it up. Maybe you put it on a Facebook group or you put it in a text group, and make sure you include as many people as you can, because these types of things are great for being inclusive. And you say, "Hey, I'm going to be at the park today from 11 to 1 with my kids. If anyone wants to meet us there, that would be awesome." And what I love about this is that it's open. You don't have to clean your house. You don't have to be prepared. You don't have to make food. Everyone can come and they can stay for as long as they would like to be there. And you can too. Maybe your kid is having a meltdown and by noon you've got to leave, and that's okay. It's an open invitation, and that is one of my favorite ways for making friends. And that has been such a good tool, especially as I've moved around, to get to know different types of people and to be able to include different types of people and to bring them in and just get to know them. So that is my favorite way. And I know somebody said, you know, "My kids are so crazy. I feel like I could never like be a great friend." And so this is a great way for you to be able to be with your crazy kids and for everyone to be with their crazy kids, but to still have some of that like motherhood connection there too. Another thing that I would suggest is to introduce yourself. Now, it can be really easy for all of us to just go about our day. You know, you go to the gym class you always go to and you stand in the same spot and you don't know any of the people around you and you kind of smile and then just get your workout in. Or you go to the soccer game and you put your chair on the very end and you just do your thing and then you pick it up and you head out. But I think when we do that, we're really missing out. Some of my favorite friends and my best connections have happened because I introduced myself to someone. Sometimes it's someone you've been standing by for the last 3 years, but you say, hey, you know, I'm Brooke. We've stood by each other forever. What's your name? Tell me a little bit about you. And what you'll find is the next time you see that person, they smile, they're excited to see you, they greet you. Some of my friends at my gym class have been people that I've talked to after, and we've shared like hopes and dreams and failures and heartaches, and they've been some really beautiful relationships. The same thing has happened like on my kids' teams. If I would have sat at the end and read my book, I would have missed out on some really wonderful relationships with people that I love. And so I'm going to encourage you to just take that step, introduce yourself, put your chair next to somebody, say hi, get to know someone a little bit better, and see what happens with your relationships and connections when you do those things. Another thing that you can do is leave your phone at home. And maybe not at home, but maybe in the car. And this is what I like to do when I'm feeling like my life is a little digital. I'll leave my phone in the car when I go to Costco or to the grocery store, and I will go in and I will make eye contact with the people who are giving me samples, or I'll talk to the cashier and tell her what an awesome job I think she does and how great she makes my experience. And it's funny how just a little tiny connection, a little reaching out can really change things for me and remind me that I am part of this great big human race and not just one that's inside a little square on my phone. And so if you are ever feeling like you need a little bit more, leave your phone in your car and interact with the people that are there. Another thing I love is to ask someone to teach you something. When I was a young mom, we moved to Arizona, and there were women there who just seemed so good at everything, and I seemed so bad at it. Like their houses were decorated so nicely and they were clean, and I felt like they were these great moms, and they cooked awesome food and they canned like fruits and vegetables, and I was just like barely getting my feet wet in motherhood, and I didn't feel good about myself. And so I started to recede, and I started to kind of go into my like woe is me moment, thinking that I didn't have anything to offer. And what I realized was that they had so much to offer. They could teach me so many things. And I spent those 5 years in Arizona learning so much more than I thought I could ever learn. They taught me how to make delicious food and to decorate. They taught me how to can and make birthday cakes and organize my house. And they also became some of my truest friends, people that I could rely on and love anytime, and still do. And I realized that I made these incredible connections with them because I put away my pride and I asked if they could help teach me. And I've continued to do that in my life. You know, my neighbor right now is an amazing gardener, and she taught me which flowers to plant and which ones work well and how to do my garden. And I am just so grateful for that. And I've had so many relationships come because women have been willing to teach me and I have been willing to learn. Now, if you are willing to take the next step and you say, hey, like I have some time, I want to bring more people into my life, I am ready to make a little effort and do a little work in order to have a bigger and fuller community in my life, then I am going to give you a few ideas for that. One of the things that you can do is you can start a club. Now maybe it's a book club, and that's what I've done because I love to read, and everywhere I've gone I've started a book club, and some of them have been better, some of them have been like 3 people, some have been 12 people, but I've had, one of the things I love about doing a book club is that we have really great discussion, and some of those connections feel a little deeper and more meaningful because we're talking about big ideas, and I love that. Now, maybe you're not into books, or maybe you're at a stage where books don't work. I've heard of people doing podcast clubs where they send a podcast to everyone and have everyone listen to it, or maybe an article club where it's just a short article and you can meet up and talk about it. You can get people together in your home to do that, or you could meet at like a fast casual restaurant, or even at a library if you don't want the work of cleaning up or dealing with like crazy kids while you're doing it. But having a club, maybe even like a craft club if you're more into like arts and things like that, but having a place where women can gather and just chat and talk, and even about bigger, deeper things, bigger, deeper ideas, is a great way to make a connection. Another way to really bring people into your life is to feed them. And I know that's not everyone's cup of tea, but you can keep it simple. You can get a Papa Murphy's pizza and make a Caesar salad, or you can cook something like amazing and delectable. and you can bring them into your life. No one has ever said, no, I really like making dinner on my own. I don't want to come eat your food. Everyone always says yes to dinner. And so if cooking is something that you can do and you don't mind opening your home, that is one of my favorite ways to get to know people, whether it's bringing women over just for a quick lunch or whether it's bringing a whole family over on a weekend for dinner. It's a great way to start making those real life connections. Another thing that you can do is you can share one of your talents, and that can be a little intimidating, but when you are willing to give of yourself, some really great things happen. And so if you know that one of the women in your neighborhood or in your circle, maybe their kids are struggling with reading and you're great at teaching it, maybe you could offer to help. Or same thing with math. You know, hey, do they want to come over and I can work with them? Like, I'm pretty decent at math, which I'm not, but maybe you could talk about teaching them a skill. Like, hey, I'm going to take my kid to the batting cages from 3 to 4. Would you guys want to come? I could help show them some of the ways that we do things over here. There's some really great ideas for sharing your gifts and your talents. Maybe you know someone is having a wedding soon and they need some help with the decorating or with the invitations, and you're a great graphic designer. Offer up your services, offer up your help and love, and I think you'll be shocked at how quickly connections grow when we share of ourselves. The other thing that can be kind of hard is to accept help. If you are struggling and you know you need something, letting others serve you and be part of your life is such a magical way to connect. Some of the most wonderful friendships have happened because I was willing to allow someone to help me in a time of need. And it's uncomfortable and it's not always my favorite. I would rather be on the serving end, but boy, do those relationships grow because of my gratitude for them and my willingness to let them see me in a way that maybe not everyone sees us. And that rolls right into be real. Never in my life have I ever met someone who said, oh, they are my favorite friend because they always look perfect and their house is always perfect and their kids are always perfect and they never yell and they love everything and they never have a hard day. You know, that's not who we need in our lives. I just invite you to be real. Invite you to be a real person to others. Share when you're going through something difficult. Ask for help. Tell them when you're struggling with something. Ask for their advice. People are a wealth of knowledge, and it's a wonderful way to make a connection is by being real. And I think you'll find that most other people are actually pretty real too, and they are so grateful when someone will let down their guard and share a little bit of their true self. This goes on to one of my favorite ways of making friends, and it's to find a motherhood mentor. To find someone who's a little further along on the path. So not all of our friends have to be our same age and our same stage, but find someone who's a little further along in their path and ask them for their advice, for their help. Let them talk you down from the ledge when you think the world is over because, you know, your 2-year-old pushed somebody on the playground or your, 6-year-old can't read. Invite them into your life and let them help you gain perspective and let them teach you and be a willing student. Learn from them and learn from what they have to share. So those are just some of the ways that I would invite you to try and connect in real life, to find those real friends. And sometimes these connections are going to be quick and fleeting, like the woman at the grocery store, when you pay her a compliment and change your day. And some of them are going to be deep, like when someone serves you when you can't serve yourself. But what I want you to know is that they are all worth it. All of these relationships, all the work is worth it. And I know that some of you are struggling more than others. Some of you say, you know what, like, I don't really need friends. I am totally fine. So why? Like, why should I care about this? Why should I do it? And I'm just going to go back to what I said at the beginning is that we need each other. Women need women. And so we need to take the opportunity when we're doing well, when we don't need something, to look around us and see who might need us. See who's sitting alone. See who never gets invited. See who's just on the fringes and see if you could be the one that can include them and let them know they're loved and wanted in their neighborhood, in their church, even in your family. I've heard some other people say, I try, Brooke, I have tried so hard and my neighborhood is so cliquey. Like no one will let me in and it doesn't matter what I do. It doesn't seem like anyone wants to be my friend. And it breaks my heart and I am so sorry. I'm so sorry that you have to be there. And I too have been there. and it is long and it is lonely. But I want you to remember that friendships don't happen overnight. Every now and then one will, and you wish they could all be that way, but most friendship takes a lot of work, and it takes years sometimes of loving and serving and trying until you finally create that real bond. And so keep going. And if it's not working out in your neighborhood, I'm just gonna tell you to reach out. Look somewhere else. Find someone on a team. Find someone in school. Find someone in one of your classes. Find people who might be needing your love and friendship. Sometimes those you're working on being a friend with, maybe they don't need it right now, but maybe they will later. So keep trying, keep pushing. I know that it's worth it at some point. Some other people have said, I do all this stuff and I never get an invite in return. And I was in your spot for so long. I felt like I was always feeding people. I was always inviting people. I was always planning something. And I would complain to my husband like, oh, I fed people all this time and we never get invited to do anything, and we never get invited to go to dinner, and whatever it is. And if that is you, I just want to say that that might be your role. You might be on this earth to start something, to include people, to make something happen. And not everyone is comfortable inviting someone to dinner in their home. Not everyone even thinks about planning something. Not everyone wants to get the kids together and do something exciting or take them somewhere cool. And so instead of wanting something to come back to you in equal, like one for one, do what you do because you love it. Do it because you want that connection and you want those friendships and you want to make your neighborhood a place where people feel happy and included and excited about being together. And sometimes it catches on, and every now and then you might get invited, but remember to do things that make you happy. Don't do it because it's a hassle and you hate it. Find the things that you love and do those. And I hope that these little tips can help in creating a little more connection in your life, a happier family life, a happier neighborhood life, and create a little bit more joy in your own corner of the world. And I know I talked quickly and there's a lot of tips, and I'm gonna put those on my blog along with some questions that can help people who want to get to know people better. And I will add those all to brookeromney.com. And I would love to have you join me on Instagram and be part of this conversation on how we can each reach out and be better friends to one another.